NutraCast.
So, you just started using LinkedIn Premium. Now what? Well, on your premium company page, you noticed around 7.5 times more page engagement and 5 times more page views. Well done. And now, new clients are messaging you. All because you're using LinkedIn Premium, which helps you get the business growth you want. Think big, small business. Think big. Start your free trial at linkedin.com/premium small business. That's linkedin.com/premium small business.
Parents of tweens, if you're familiar with far-off drop-offs...
Dad, stop, right here.
Or get DMs about what's for dinner, you may be experiencing tween milestones. For your son or daughter, these can start at age 9. HPV vaccination, a type of cancer prevention against certain HPV-related cancers, can start then too.
For most, HPV clears on its own. But for those who don't clear the virus, it can cause certain cancers later in life.
Embrace this phase. Help protect them in the next.
Ask their doctor today about HPV vaccination. Brought to you by Merck.
Hold on to your butts.
We are changing the course of history as we see it. That is what Western demands.
Now, this affects Iris. Iris, where are you?
What you feel only matters to you.
I do not entertain hypotheticals. The world as it is vexing enough.
Iris, I have a tip for you.
Don't take drugs!
Or Whatever Movies with Wesley and Iris.
What up and welcome to Or Whatever Movies. I'm your co-host Iris, and I'm here with Medellin.
That doesn't even mean brother. And today we are discussing a movie from 2015. Kate Macer has a bad week.
And she really does. This is a tough time for Emily Blunt's character.
Yep, she's used to find a man. She's used by a man. She sees a dead body that used to be a man. She gets blowed up, shot, choked, needs a new bra.
Kate obviously does, but she's also compelled by this obsessive desire to, what is it exactly? Get to the bottom of what's really going on and make a difference?
That ultimately, I think, is what it is when she puts on the double-plated armor to go into the tunnel. I don't know that she needed to go into the tunnel, but she needed to know what was going on. But she's compelled, motivated, absolutely by her morality. She is the kidnapping operative and the specialist, and she sees her team decimated and she wants to find the people responsible.
She wants to see a different kind of order restored, and that is the illusion that she had that there was order in her life and in her country.
Yeah, I think it's pretty black and white what she wants. If people commit crimes, they need to be responsible, held responsible for them. We need to bring up charges. And Matt is like, they're not going to stick, because he has a much more convoluted operation in place that she knows nothing about. But she very much wants a certain thing, and that to her equates to justice or, order in the world.
So many great performances in this movie. I can't single one out. Who do you think is the real standout in this cast?
I think that Emily Blunt as Kate is the most emotive. She's filled with terror and with uncertainty, and you can see it on her face and her lip tremble. And she's observant, like Matt says, just get in there, soak it up like a sponge kind of thing. And she's just so out of her element. Everything is new and fresh, and we can see it all. Whereas Alejandro, by comparison, is completely impenetrable. You'd have no idea what that dude is doing or thinking until he thinks and does it. And, Matt is aloof and not really the person to follow in this movie. Reggie has the sort of grounding effect of realism, but he's so sidelined so continually. It's a little bit frustrating that you wonder if that dude had a much bigger role or something that got cut out. Like, his relationship and dynamic with Kate is interesting, and yet he is just so sidelined that really he only serves to be the sounding board for her uncertainty and to introduce the dude that almost kills her. And to
oh man, that's John Barenthal's cameo.
Yeah. Boy, for what seems like a nice dude, he seems like a very grounded, friendly guy in everything I've ever seen him in interview-wise, but he plays some despicable people.
He really does. And I would be so conflicted if he hit on me in a bar.
Oh, I think he has cauliflower ear and he has like boxer's nose.
Oh yeah, he's all busted, but he's got charisma and he's kind of got a nice West Texas bod. But you just know there's something gross about that character.
Oh, so gross. Whenever I think about Sicario, there are some horrible things to behold. And still, when Alejandro licks his finger and sticks it in his ear and he's screaming. That's the thing that gives the most distasteful part of Sicario for me. And that's saying something. That's weird.
It's funny because it makes him mad. Like, yes, it probably really hurts, but he's pissed off afterward. The John Barenthal character, he's like cursing him out because is it just humiliating? Is it just so painful? Is it annoying that he gives him a Colombian cartel-grade wet willie?
So he's like Arizona PD, and I'm sure he's been trained to be rough and tumble, right? Protect your head, protect your neck or whatever, go low and then uppercut or something. But they never trained him against a wet willy torture.
I mean, Alejandro's got all the techniques. Presumably he waterboards Primo or whatever.
Yeah, Guillermo. But there's a parental guide on Internet Movie Database, right? Where it tells you, hey, before you let your kids watch this, know that there's smoking and sex and violence. And it gives some descriptions, and some of them are kind of spoilery. But in this particular one, under violence, it talked about the uncomfortable crotch scene where Alejandro gets his junk all up in that dude's face. And it's like a pure...
Is that what was happening?
Yeah, so it's purely an intimidation tactic. And then he tortures him or waterboards him with the big jug of water. But for the parental guide, it says that the character gets all up in his face, uncomfortably so, his crotch, his clothed crotch in his face. And then the camera cuts away to a shot of the drain, and one of two things can be implied. Either he's torturing the guy or he's raping him. I thought... That was pretty funny. The idea that someone like the critical parents who are like watching this eye, like, is this acceptable? Think, hey, that could be a rape scene. I don't know. You never know with this Alejandro guy.
Also, I thought that he was peeing on him, and that might have been a third option for the end.
That's the poster quote. I thought he might have been peeing on him.
But I was genuinely confused what was happening with the posturing. I didn't realize that that's what he was doing, that he was making Guillermo uncomfortable by putting his junk in his face. I mean, it's not like Guillermo was gagged. He could have easily bitten a nut.
And I love the idea that what dudes do in closed rooms to other dudes as a show of dominance could be peeing on him or the retaliation while he's bound and like unable to, he's obviously caught and he's not going to get away, but he could bite him in the nut in retribution for the insult. He's putting it right there.
This is a very duty movie, and I wonder if it makes... I don't know that Emily Blunt's Kate gives us better access because she's a woman. It almost feels not abusive, but it's so manipulative.
She is definitely manipulated. This is a dude's movie for sure, because when you strip it all away, it is purely and simply a revenge story. And it's a revenge story executed through bureaucratic channels, but still... That's all that we're doing. All this stuff, the war on drugs. The war on drugs has been going on for 40 years, and there's been no change. And this is coming from a DEA agent or someone that Benicio del Toro knows that it's pretty much the same. Demand, supply, still the same. They're fighting, but it's not really having any effect. So it's kind of a backdrop. It's the war that happens in the background of Inglourious Bastards or any other movie like that, where that's just kind of secondary to this story of revenge and Kate being taken advantage of. I think it is of critical importance that Kate is a female character because she brings that level of morality and vulnerability to the role. She is the film's heart, but that she's not the black beating heart that Alejandro is. She's not the driving force.
That's so interesting. Yeah, Emily Blunt's character is set up so beautifully as this badass raiding the cartel house in Arizona. And she endures a lot, and she is obviously the leader. And then we reveal over the course of time just kind of how naive she is about this world and the work that she does. But what you just said about this being a revenge tale really just crystallized this movie for me, because it was an onslaught of information. This is not for the faint of heart. It's super suspenseful. And I think it's easy to get lost in that, whereas viewing it as a revenge tale, I think is very tethering.
Alejandro is doing everything he is doing in revenge of his wife and his daughter. He doesn't care if he dies in the he would like to execute his revenge, but whether or not Kate is going to shoot him from the balcony at the end, he doesn't care. He doesn't really have anything left. I'm putting this on you because Kelly Ray does not like Sicario. This movie is so good and so effective that she hates it. This reunites Benicio del Toro and Emily Blunt, who starred in The Wolfman, which was very gory. Sicario, infinitely scarier than The Wolfman. More tense, more illustrative of the horrific things that people who are also like wolves can do to each other. What did he say? This is like a land of wolves now?
Yeah, move to a small town because this is a land of wolves and you're not a wolf.
So I told Kelly Ray, we're doing Sicario. And she's like, ugh, Sicario. So why did you force me to discuss Sicario today?
Force you. First of all, you're the one that's always, quote unquote, ready for Sicario. This is one of your like standby movies. But we are probably here because we reviewed and released Hell or High Water. And that was written, as was Sicario, by Taylor Sheridan. And I realized in the course of that, and then I haven't told you since then, that this is my first time seeing Sicario.
What? No, it's not.
Yep.
Wow.
That pocket of time, 2015, what was I doing?
Having babies and such?
Yeah. I was probably getting ready to have a baby and, just in a different mindset. This might have been way too stressful. I might have gone into labor if I saw Sicario while pregnant.
Oh, man. That would be a good story to tell Paloma.
So that's why we're here. And then I mentioned it to Brian and he was like, oh, and he got all dreamy-eyed. And then he started waxing about the score and I was like, wow. And then I pretended and played off like I didn't really like it. And he was like, it's a revered movie. Like, kind of like, what's wrong with you? Like giving me the side eye. I don't know how I missed it.
So first off, who directed Hell or High Water? Exactly. So Sicario is I personally believe, come at me, all you bros, come at me, but I think that Sicario is my favorite Denis Villeneuve movie. And
no.
I mean, come on, what do you got? You got Dune? You're going to tell me that Sicario is a worse movie than Dune?
I mean, they're different, but Dune 2 is a masterpiece.
Yeah, masterpiece. He's riding a worm. Anyway, so Denis Villeneuve, when people bring him up as a visionary director, I'm like, okay, well, he's definitely got Sicario. Sicario has the legendary Roger Deakins as cinematographer. He's got Taylor Sheridan, who has a strong track record with Hell or High Water and, all the stuff that he's been doing. He's got Emily Blunt, Benicio del Toro. There's so much going for Sicario. To say nothing of the score. This is just all the people in place for a heavy hitter. And by heavy hitter, I mean really brutal, like a bat to the side of your head kind of heavy hitter, where this movie's not playing around. It's not for kids. I'm not going to say it's not for ladies because it's definitely a male-dominated world, but Emily Blunt is so effective in being the female component in a male-dominated world where this brutality is not going to pause for anyone. They're not going to take pity on her or, no women, no kids. That's not a thing in this world.
Yeah, you know how we talked in the past about the effectiveness of horror films and how important it is for our main characters to be scared for us to feel scared.
Yes.
And I think that it's because Kate is kept in the dark that we're kept in the dark and that we are kept off kilter, off balance, and heightens the suspense of it all because I just didn't know what was going on a lot of the time. And I felt so off balance that it was scarier. And I think Denis Villeneuve also sets the tone with his menacing landscapes.
Oh.
I don't know why, but I just am filled with dread and terror, a la Breaking Bad. When I see those desert landscapes, I'm just like, ah. But I did notice within the first few shots, and I don't know if this is Roger Deakins to your point or Denis Villeneuve, but so we start with this like seemingly innocuous desert community, like wide, and then we get the FBI agents in the foreground. And the way that he blocks the FBI agents is like, I was like, wow, I could tell immediately that this is going to be a well-directed, deftly directed film. I don't know if you remember it, but it's like they split up and then some go in the background and the agents are like this crazy black contrast against this drab background. And then one of them goes in the foreground and it's just this beautiful split. I don't know. There's something about it that really just tipped me off.
And it goes from an innocuous house in the Midwest, in Texas, as it were, to an absolute horror show. It's like a house of horrors when they open up the walls, and then there's body parts all over the backyard after they open the stupid thing. Don't open the hatch in the kidnapping house. Oh my God. But it goes from the very beginning. That is what did Kelly in. Once they uncovered the people that were suffocated and like stuck in the walls, she was like, I'm done. And so this movie didn't do anything, not a single thing to win her over after that. And it only gets worse. So it sets a definite tone.
I mean, you half expect Daniel Kaluuya to look through the hole and be like, nope.
My favorite thing about Shipt since I signed up for Target Circle 360, no price markups when I order same-day delivery from tons of local stores. Only a handful of alcohol retailers and items don't count. I won't lie, I've had too much fun being like, markups on groceries? Not in my fridge. Markups on pet food? Not for my DOG. Markups on tools, electronics, home goods, meds? Not in my house. Anyway, it's awesome. Order now at shipt.com/360. Terms apply.
All right, here we go.
New Phineas and Ferb is here.
We're back, baby.
For 104 more days.
I know what we're gonna do today.
Of summer vacation.
I am ready for summer shenanigans. Let's do it. Oh, yeah.
All right. We're gonna bust Phineas and Ferb once and for all.
Are we gonna do this again?
New inventions, shenanigans, innators, adventures, and songs.
Brand new summer vacation.
New Phineas and Ferb starts June 5th on Disney Channel and next day on Disney Plus on DisneyPlus.Disney.com.
Because it's horrendous. Why are they in the walls?
She was there to retrieve kidnapped victims. And it just so happened that this happened to be a part of the Manuel Diaz operation.
I mean, that was their practical solution, to bury people in the walls of a rando suburban house?
I guess so.
You don't have acres and acres of desert that you can bury these people?
Who knows? But this is not typical for her, I think. She would look to infiltrate, to get in, to get the hostages or the kidnapped victims out and be done. And she stumbled into this horrific world, which got her headhunted and recruited by this operation for her naivete and her idealism, I guess.
So they recruit her because of her desire for justice, but they also recruit her because she's capable. Not for augmenting their little detachment thing, but because they can trust her to kind of handle her own in an otherwise very dangerous environment. But other than that, she's just giving them, to quote Matt, the opportunity to shake the tree and create chaos.
I wonder how they regard her capable. I mean, Alejandro was in it for himself, and he was going to shoot Kate in the chest twice to make sure she didn't stand in his way. And she was effective, and she is good at what she does. And Matt is not an on-the-ground dude. He's a flip-flops sitting on the desk, what are you looking at me for kind of dude. He can be brutal, and he doesn't turn away. He's not like, I'm going to step out when Alejandro is torturing Guillermo. But is she effective? Because when all the rotated back from Afghanistan SWAT dude, not the SWAT dudes, they were like the killing force dudes, the mercenary type dudes who are going into the tunnel. He's like, stay back there. Don't shoot any of my crew. And she's like, okay.
Yeah, he's talking to them like they're a bunch of idiots.
Yeah, she's not special ops. Did they need her to open the bureaucratic channels that would allow them to, as they put it, insert an agent in the tunnels to get him across?
They needed her to sign the paper.
To sign the paper, okay.
And by the way, if you're ever in that situation, just sign the paper and then bitch like a normal person about it later.
She signed away her morals, everything she believed in. She was almost, not quite, ready to die for not signing that paper. And I do believe, after everything that happened, that Alejandro would have killed her. He might have been kind and gentle about it, as one can be, but he was going to get that signature no matter what.
Yeah, it really was just a formality to begin with. I think it was a formality and almost a cheat to get the two characters together. But Alejandro really didn't need her to physically sign that thing. He could have signed it. Anyone could have signed it. I don't think that she loses a part of who she is because she's made a decision or a string of decisions, because decisions are reversible. You know, she can sign the paper, but it doesn't mean that her fight is over. It doesn't mean that she can't make a very solid case that she was forced to sign a document under duress, which is illegal. Whether Kate is going to basically just implode or she's going to continue to stand out on balconies is what I think is beside the point of the scope of this film.
Do you have any intention of seeing Sicario Day of the Soldado?
I just saw that on IMDb when I was searching for Sicario. I don't know. Do you recommend it?
Emily Blunt isn't in it, which leaves Alejandro and Matt doing their thing with machine guns and being brutal, like John Wick, like any of these movies, these killing machine type of movies. It's what separates it. It's her humanity, it's her morality, and within the scope of a 2-hour runtime or whatever this movie is, sure, she can go on and have a life, but she still had to give up something. The wide-eyed, hopeful Kate Mazer is gone.
Well, that's what I'm arguing. What I'm arguing here is that she's not giving up her morality. What is happening is the loss of innocence, which is a very painful process. I mean, maybe I'm belaboring this point here, but I think you're conflating the two.
Yeah, it's possible. Because I will concede that while Alejandro is a caring person, obviously, he loved his family and he's doing out of these things because of that love and how that love twisted him. But his morality is not in place. Matt's morality, wherever that's at home with his family or whatever that we never get to see. It's a dog-eat-dog world and they are dogs and they are eating. Fausto Alarcon's sons and wife didn't deserve to die, but it was retribution for the horrible things that happened to Alejandro's wife and daughter.
Yeah, letting them live is just asking for the revenge cycle to continue.
The Kill Bill style?
Right, but why would a character like Alejandro leave loose ends like that?
I mean, the kid and the wife, they're more innocent than Kate is. I don't know. It just seemed like he was going to make sure that man suffered. I'm honestly surprised that he didn't pull some Guillermo stuff where he puts a gag in his mouth and ties him up and shoots his wife and sons so they don't suffer. But then he, opens a few arteries and lets him slowly bleed out or tortures him. He wasn't above that. And then sits there and eats that dude's dinner while he's like crying and screaming in the background. To shoot that dude.
He's not a sadist. Jeez.
Well, I mean, kinda. And then after he sees his wife and son die, and you can see the look of horror and all the posturing on his face has disappeared, and he knows his death is coming, pray it be quick, and it is, bam, he's dead, is kind of better than that dude deserved. But he talks about, Alejandro says, you kill families every day, and yet here you dine. So I'm going to kill your family and you, or whatever. He's no better. Alejandro is not a good dude. He's a very dangerous dude who's been hurt and is acting out. He is the, revenge killer that we would ordinarily see in movies like this. Such a stark contrast to Kate. Alejandro, 90% of that dude's dialogue was cut from the script.
Really?
That's all he is. He's just a killing machine. He's quiet and mysterious and scary. This is the same thing that happened with Rambo. He was pontificating and the movie was so horrific that Sylvester Stallone tried to buy the film back so he could destroy it. And then they re-edited it and took all his crap out, everything he said out. And all of a sudden he's an iconic character and has been for decades. Alejandro doesn't need anything except his marching orders and a gun.
Yeah, well, and the permission and support resources to carry out his plan. That's why he's agency agnostic, country agnostic. Like, whoever is going to send me to be able to take care of the guys who made me, according to Matt, that's where he's going to go. He's like this discrete, complete package that the film delivers, and a great foil to the Emily Blunt character. It's the Josh Brolin Matt character that I'm still wrestling with. in true No Country for Old Men style, he like disappears for Act 3. He's just gone. And it leaves me wondering, what was in it for Matt? Was he the ultimate mercenary?
He's the mercenary who can get things done. And yeah, he wants to go and shake the tree and make some noise and do his dude bro thing. But I honestly think that he is all about getting Manuel Diaz back to Mexico and ultimately getting to Alarcon, because as they both said, getting to him would be like finding a vaccine for the disease of the rampant, drugs from the cartels. I think he's really just trying to get his friend or his co-worker to exact his revenge. And it benefits him. And if it makes Alejandro feel better, I don't give a crap about Fausto Alarcon. Let him and his family die. Sure. It's the way the world works.
Maybe it's just as simple as that. And we think that there's more to Matt than there is. The only thing I'd add to that is that he has compartmentalized his work so efficiently that he appears to enjoy not only making Kate uncomfortable, but the work that he does. I mean, he's snug as a bug in that black SUV when everyone else is involved in the shootout at the border crossing. Like, he's more than happy to just hang out.
But I don't think that the Matt character is lazy. I don't think, he's the quirky guy that was in Sicario. I think that he has a very dedicated backstory and it's interesting, and none of it felt cheap or cheated. I think he was hugely instrumental. He was the one running the show on the north side of the border so that Alejandro can run things when he gets to the south. So I think that it was okay that those characters were kind of shrouded in mystery, and yet consider that border crossing the most tense sequence, which is very long. But the second they suit up and get in the cars, which are in awfully close formation, and go across the border from like almost the first minute, you're like, oh my God. And they're playing Brian's soundtrack. Whoa. It's so scary. And consider
so
that
tense.
That entire sequence, that's what we had mapped out for us. It's not, what are we doing here? It's, okay, guys, we're going to infiltrate. We're going across the border. We're going to grab Guillermo, and there are eyes everywhere. Anyone is potentially a shooter, and the most likely point for an assault will be on the return at the border. And we know all that. So we're watching the rooftops, and we're seeing the brilliant things that the cartel is doing by desecrating bodies to make people think that they were somehow involved. And you're wondering if the Mexican police at the border with the machine guns mounted in the truck are really on their side. Are they going to turn on them? Who is corrupt if Arizona PD can't be trusted? And all this stuff that was really tense. And that was all explained, whereas we were kept in the dark with everything else. And still somehow by means of the way that it was shot, the way that it was established, is just so, like, we were as informed as we could be, but there are too many uncertainties.
I mean, I think it's tense because the X factors, the moving parts, are just unlimited, right? This is a very uncontrolled situation that they're entering into. And then they are basically, herded, they're funneled and herded into this border, which is a potential slaughter. It's a very bad situation. But the fact that they do have some protocol was confusing. Like, it's not completely unchecked. Like, they had rules of engagement. You're allowed to do and go as far as they go. And it's only through Kate that I even begin to question it.
Kate says in no uncertain terms, what we did is illegal. And he's like, that's not the point. The point is that this is the way that things happen. This is the operation. So as long as they're using Kate from the FBI, they're justifying legally the means by which they'll get Alejandro into Fausto Alarcon's house, and how they're going to extract Guillermo to get Manuel called back. It's illegal what they're doing, but as long as they follow the rules of protocol and they know that they have an FBI representative, then they're doing things by the book in case anybody takes a look. I'm not sure how deep the knowledge well ran, but a lot of illegal things to do a thing that is technically illegal, certainly morally questionable, but potentially effective in the long game, which I think is the point of Sicario, demonstrating that morality is not a thing. Going by the books are a means to an end, a nefarious end, and this movie is not. Is there a happy ending in Alejandro redeeming his family through revenge? Is there a happy ending by Kate not dying or not killing Alejandro in the end?
For his personal narrative, one could see that way darkly. And I think the jury is still out. I think it's still to be seen, what happens with, Kate. If I personally think that there's a way for her to come back from this. I think on the flip side, what you're saying is that technically what Silvio, for example, was doing was illegal, but he wasn't doing it because he was a cackling, rubbing his hands together, evil guy. He was doing it because that's the reality that he lives in, and that's the reality that allows him to take his kid to the soccer games.
See, that's the example. Silvio, who was the dude who had a personal life, whose kid was like, Daddy, can we go to the park and kick the soccer ball? Here's some eggs and tortillas and beans. And he's like, okay, hey, you working tonight? Yeah, tonight. I'm going to go do illegal criminal stuff. And then bam, he's dead. So we had multiple scenes with him and his family, only for him to die unceremoniously on the road so that Alejandro could get to the other dude, you know who I am, to get him into Alarcon's compound.
But is he a bad dude? Is he a badder dude than his American counterparts?
No, definitely not more than Arizona PD dude who smooched her and then tried to kill her. I don't think the morality of good and bad in issuing those labels to these characters is effective. It's a means to an end, and these roads of morality all end in a dead end. No one's good or bad, so that there's no level of redemption. There's only bleak revenge. And what is Alejandro going to do in his sunglasses after he leaves Kate's apartment? Looks over his shoulder like, if you're going to shoot me, you might as well go ahead and shoot me. What's he going to go do? Is he going to go watch It's a Wonderful Life?
Is he going to Yogurtland?
Is he going to resume the war on drugs, right? What's he going to do? And I think that is the beauty of the containment of Sicario. It's not a happy movie. It's not even really a fun movie because it's so tense, but it is a honest and brutal movie with a level of reality that I need to appreciate, even if that reality is horrible.
I'm sniffing it totally.
But because we dedicate 2 hours of our lives to this to get some level of grim satisfaction from Alejandro's revenge? No. But who needs, are you waiting until Paloma and Aurelia are old enough to watch Sicario? Who needs to see this movie? It is a grim entry, a remarkably effective entry, but I don't know how necessary it is. I give it a totally, in terms of filmmaking and execution, I'm thrilled that Sicario exists in the world. Sicario is like a military goth movie. It's pretty dark.
And that's our discussion on Sicario from 2015, or whatever movies at gmail.com, 818-835-0473. Let us know what you thought about this movie. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Electricast.